My name is Henry. My wife is Maria. Until recently, I thought that everything was fine in our relationship. We both work in good positions. We often get out of the house on different trips, but everything changed dramatically when he appeared, my wife's ex-boyfriend, and what happened next, now I'll tell you. Enjoy watching. I arrived home from work at my usual time, anticipating an evening out with my wife of 6 years. She was busy ironing one of her cocktail dresses, and I couldn't help but feel excited about our plans. Taking her out into the city always thrilled me, as she exuded sexiness, drawing envious glances from others. Her dark skin, deep brown eyes, long flowing hair, and slim athletic body created a stunning image. Before I could inquire about our plans, she diverted the conversation, sharing that she had run into someone named Logan earlier that day. The name sounded vaguely familiar, and when I suggested if it was her high school boyfriend Logan, she confirmed it. Logan was her high school sweetheart, and they broke up due to the distance between their colleges. I had never met him, but she often spoke about him. She explained that she unexpectedly encountered Logan in the lobby of my office building, and they decided to catch up over dinner. Despite my reservations about someone else joining us during our dates, I agreed, considering the special circumstances. However, she dropped a bombshell. The dinner was just for her and Logan. I wasn't pleased with the idea of her meeting an ex-boyfriend alone, especially during our usual date night. Expressing my concerns, I questioned why she didn't want me there. She insisted it was a dinner between old friends and didn't want to worry about my opinions or judgments about their past. I argued that it wasn't appropriate for a married woman to dine alone with another man, especially an ex-boyfriend. The tension escalated, and I suggested that either I go with her or she doesn't go at all. This proposal angered her, and she asserted her independence, stating that I'm not her father, but her husband. Despite her objections, I stood firm, expressing my discomfort with the situation. In frustration, she decided to go alone, leaving me at home. I took a beer from the refrigerator, contemplating the disagreement at the kitchen table. We always deliberated on these matters until we reached a consensus on how to proceed. Never did either of us imply that we would act independently, regardless of the other's opinion. When she finally emerged, I had to admit that she looked stunning. However, my predominant thought was that she looked too good for the task at hand. As she passed by, she halted and planted a kiss on my cheek. We'll talk more about this when I get home, okay? There was nothing I could do about it. We had already discussed this, and she had clearly conveyed her stance. She would do what she wanted, and she wasn't concerned about my perspective. It's good that you know our rules for the future. Just don't forget to use a condom. I'm not going to have sex with him. It's just dinner. Damn you. With these words, she hurried out of the house. I went to bed early. She left around 7 p.m., and I heard the bedroom door open around 10:30 p.m. She went straight to the shower, although her evening showers were customary, so there was nothing unusual about it. She slid towards me naked and whispered in my ear, "Baby, I wouldn't refuse today. Do you want some makeup sex?" I turned to her, and honestly, the idea of her getting aroused by Logan and then coming home for sex didn't interest me much. I just wanted to know who she was thinking about. Besides, I didn't think we had made up yet. I rolled over onto my back. As expected, it wasn't very pleasant, but her arguments didn't align with her expectations. "Well, would you rather I get aroused by you and then have sex with him?" She snapped without turning around. I said, "So you admit that being with him turns you on?" "No, that's not what I meant. I meant that no matter what happens, I will only have sex with you. I love you, damn it, and I don't understand why you can't understand that, and trust me." She just didn't understand. I sat up and turned to face her. "I can't understand why you don't understand why this bothers me. It doesn't matter who you were to him before, but now you are my wife. My feelings should have at least some weight. They always did before, but now that St. Logan is in town, I'm suddenly just an obstacle that needs to be dealt with so you can do what you want." Her head dropped. "You're right, baby. I'm sorry. I should have been more considerate of your feelings. I got caught up in the moment, the excitement of seeing him again, and I forgot who really mattered to me. Can you forgive me?" Reassured that she finally understood, I pulled her towards me. "Of course I can forgive you, honey." She looked up at me with her beautiful brown eyes. "Can we make love now?" "We can, and we got busy." I forgot about it until 2 weeks later when Maria called, saying she was late at work, needing to finish a special project. It was Wednesday, the same day that old Logan was supposed to be passing through on his usual schedule. I didn't believe it was a coincidence, and on the way home from work, I decided to stop by her office. On the way, I bought a couple sandwiches, pretending to bring her dinner. Well, am I not prudent? I checked in at the security desk and headed to her office. Maria worked as a receptionist for a large insurance company, and this was the first time in 3 years that she had to stay late at work. The front door was locked as it was after hours, so I knocked. The door was glass, so she saw me when she came to the door. I expected the office. She appeared to be busy when I entered her office, but she turned around with a beautiful smile upon seeing me at the door. Greeting me warmly, she wondered about the unexpected visit. I brought dinner for us, suggesting we have a quick meal together despite her late work hours. We spent around 15 minutes eating and discussing our days, after which I left her to her work. As I drove home, I felt foolish for doubting her fidelity. Perhaps it all ended with that dinner. They made up, and she got him out of her mind. 2 weeks later, the same scenario unfolded. She claimed to be working late on another special project, although it could have meant increased responsibilities. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. To ease my concerns, I decided to call her on her direct office line. I called at 5.45 and again at 6.30. Both times she answered without any sign of trouble, expressing love and missing me. As this pattern repeated every second Thursday, I found solace in her consistent responses. However, my paranoia persisted, leading me to call her regularly. The turning point came at an office party organized by her insurance company. For months into this ordeal, engaging in conversation with Sheila, the office manager, I jokingly mentioned the special projects, only to discover that Sheila hadn't assigned any such projects to but Maria in the past few months. Feeling stupid and confused, I excused myself and confronted the realization that I had been deceived. The explanation for the Thursday switch became apparent. Logan might have altered his route, possibly due to suspicion, or by chance. The only missing piece was evidence. On the next every second Thursday, I parked my friend's car outside her office building and observed my wife leaving hand in hand with Logan. Taking discreet photos, I followed them as they drove away in a Ford Taurus, a car different from Maria's Camry. The traffic provided the perfect cover for me to tail them and gather the evidence I needed. I positioned my car strategically, ensuring that I could stay inconspicuous without the risk of being seen. They pulled into the Super 8 motel, driving around the back and passing the office. It was evident he was prepared for this encounter. Parking next to them, I discreetly captured a photo, leading them to a hotel room. He opened the door, and they paused in the doorway, engaged in a long and passionate kiss. A pang hit my stomach, noticing she was still wearing her rings. I wondered if it gave him pleasure for her to wear my rings during their intimate moments. During the wait, I made several calls, setting up a meeting with a lawyer and informing the office of my brief absence. Primarily, I sat and waited. Around 2.30, the door opened, and I resumed clicking pictures. Maria, still buttoning and straightening her clothes, appeared disheveled. No action shots were needed. The evidence of her being with him at the hotel was clear. Stowing my phone away, I headed home, grateful that we hadn't started a family or acquired significant assets. Separating our cars and dividing the money in the bank 50-50 would simplify matters. As anticipated, her call came, explaining another late night on a project. I reassured her, claiming everything was fine, and we'd meet around 7.30. I was determined this would be the final encounter. Handling the finances discreetly, I paid bills and managed banking without her notice. Despite knowing the inevitable, I refrained from pursuing her any further. When she called announcing another delay, I wasn't surprised. On my way home, I had a snack that I ate without tasting, then began packing my belongings. By 7.25, when Maria returned, everything was packed, loaded into the car, and I was ready to leave. She walked in a good mood, greeting me with a, "Hey baby." However, when she tried to kiss me, I avoided it. We sat at the kitchen table, once filled with memorable moments. She smiled, oblivious to what awaited her. I brought up her frequent late nights at work, and she, thinking it was a routine discussion, didn't foresee the gravity of the conversation. As she spoke about her projects, I pressed for details, catching her off guard. The conversation unfolded, revealing the truth about her late nights, and my decision that this would be our last encounter. I believe I knew everything, until I discovered your involvement with Logan. She exhaled in despair, frustrated by the revelation. There it is again, Henry. Damn it. I haven't done anything with him. I haven't even seen him since that one time, a few months ago. It's been several months. She insisted. Are you sure about this? I questioned, and she affirmed her innocence. However, the uncertainty on her face contradicted her words. Concerned, I confronted her about the photos from 2 weeks ago, pointing out that if it wasn't Logan, she should identify the man depicted in them. I spread the photographs on the table, capturing her leaving the room in disarray, and divorce papers were placed next to them. No, Henry, please. It was nothing. Just nothing. Can't we forget about this? She pleaded, but my resolve was unwavering. I reminded her of our initial agreement that cheating was a relationship-ending offense. Despite her reassurances and expressions of love, I couldn't overlook the repeated betrayals and lies. I thought we had a good marriage, she lamented. Oh, Henry, please. I love you with all my heart. I can't explain it. All those old school feelings came back when I saw him, and I wanted to experience them again. I became interested in it, and when he came back 2 weeks later and invited me to dinner, I agreed. As a result, we ended up at the hotel. I did this voluntarily. I wish I could say I didn't want to, but I agreed. After that, each time it became easier, but less and less enjoyable. I thought about ending it, but obviously I was too late. Forgive me, Henry, please. I love you. I'm so sorry. Despite her apologies and expressions of regret, I left the apartment for the last time 4 months later. The divorce was finalized, and at least she respected the decision without resistance. I secured a 2-room apartment, and to everyone's surprise, Maria transferred to another office and moved in with Logan. I immersed myself in work, still missing her, even though I acknowledged we could never be together again. Almost a year after that final evening at the kitchen table, I received a text from Maria saying she was in town and asking if we could meet. We agreed to meet at a small bar near my apartment. When I entered, I saw her at the other end of the room, noticeably having lost weight. She still looked beautiful, albeit in a different way. I greeted her warmly, offering a small hug and a kiss on the cheek. So, what brings you to town, Maria? I inquired, sitting across from her at the table. I ordered a Coke, surprising her with a strawberry daiquiri. She noticed the change in my drink choice, commenting that it didn't sound like me. Over the past year, everything had changed, and life was full of surprises. The anger and resentment had faded, and we were no longer together. She admitted Logan had cheated on her, and I found it ironic. Expressing my sympathy, I asked how she discovered it. It turns out that there are other husbands who were less understanding than you. Some of them gathered to physically express their displeasure to him after he left the hospital, and he disappeared. I have no idea where he went. She pointed out, Henry, I'm truly sorry for my actions. I was foolish, falling in love with a memory of a person who no longer exists, and perhaps never did. We had a wonderful marriage, and I still love you. I've learned my lesson. Is there a chance? At that moment, a figure in a blue knee-length dress entered the door and approached my table, or rather me. The tall blonde placed her purse on another chair, pecked me on the cheek, and said, Hi, baby. Sorry I'm late. My production meeting was running late. Is this my drink? Without waiting for an answer, she took the drink and sipped it through the straw. I got your message. Is everything settled? Of course not. It doesn't happen that way, you know. But I'm done talking about work and ready to start our evening. I started dating Renee. This is Maria, my ex-wife. Maria, this is my girlfriend, Renee. It's very nice to finally meet you, Renee. Maria said, I've heard a lot about you. I hope it's a little good. Renee joked. Almost everything. In fact, he speaks very highly of you, except for the last few months of your marriage. But I guess that was to be expected. Renee replied. I saw Maria's eyes become a little more moist. He's a good guy, she said. Hold on to him. Be smarter than I was. I plan to do that. We've already set a date. I watched silently, and with some pity, as Maria's eyes found the engagement ring on Renee's finger. She seemed to deflate a little as she looked at her. Congratulations. This is amazing. I'm happy for you. Renee smiled sadly. You were hoping to get him back, weren't you? I hoped, Maria admitted. But it looks like I don't have a chance anymore. I guess it's time for me to go. I wish you wouldn't do this, Renee said, placing her hand on Maria's. I really wanted to get to know you better. Maria was clearly puzzled. Why? Why would you want to meet your fiancé's ex-wife? You have been a big part of his life for a long time and are very important to him. You helped make him the man I fell in love with. Why wouldn't I want to get to know you better, even become friends? That being said, I would never let you two be alone. But I guess that's just common sense. Renee explained. Yes, Maria said ironically. As someone once told me, a person in a relationship should not be alone with his ex if only she had taken this advice when I gave it to her.